Hello everyone. Today we're working on Module 2, Lesson 17, and we'll be focusing on estimating. We're going to use basic facts to estimate quotients of problems that have two-digit divisors. And we'll be estimating using a method that's a little bit different than the others that we've used this year. And we'll be relying heavily on what we call compatible numbers. Let's start off by finding an estimate for 402 divided by 19. Now, the method that we're using tonight, it's very important that you always start by rounding the divisor, which is the number you're dividing by, to the greatest place. So 19 has a number in the ones place and the tens place. So rounding to the tens place is the same as rounding to the greatest place in this case. And of course, 19 is much closer to 2 tens than it is to 1 10. So we're going to round that 19 to 20. Now, when we go to the dividend over here and estimate, we're not going to think about rounding to the greatest place. We're going to be thinking about what can I round to that will create a basic fact times 10 or an exponent of 10. So I've got a 2 times 10 over here with my 20. And so I want to round that 402 to something that is going to be compatible with 20. And this one's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to round it to 400 because what I have now is basically the fact 4 divided by 2, although it's 400s divided by 2 tens, but it will be easy for us to figure out what that is. So, as we know, the basic fact, 4 divided by 2, is going to equal 2. But of course, this isn't 4 divided by 2, it's 4 hundredths divided by 2 tenths, and hundreds, or 4 times 100, divided by 2 times 10. And we've done the 4 divided by 2 part. Now we need to do the 100 divided by 10 part, and of course, 100 divided by 10 is 10. So this 2 is actually going to be a 20 because it's 2 tens. So 402 divided by 19 is about 20. Now I'd like you to try one. I want you to remember that you need to round the divisor first to the greatest place, and then use that number. Think of a basic fact. If it was a one-digit number, what basic fact would it be part of? And then you're going to use that information to help you round the dividend. All right, give it a shot and write your answer on the Edpuzzle quiz. Please show which numbers you have rounded the dividend and the divisor to. So you're going to actually make an expression on the quiz with your estimate. Let's try this one. 427 divided by 58. I'm going to start with the divisor again. And 58 rounded to the greatest place will be 60. And I want to move over to the dividend now and think, what is a basic fact that I could round this number to that is compatible with 6? Because I have a 6 times 10 over here for my rounded dividend. Now, we've been practicing with the multiplication. We rounded to the greatest place. And 427 rounded to the greatest place, of course, is going to be 400. But that's not compatible with the 60. You can't evenly divide in your head 400 by 60. You can't divide 40 by 60 or 4 by 6 So I don't want to round 427 to 400 because it is not a compatible number. It does not create a basic fact. What I do want to round it to is 420, because if I ignore the zeros in these numbers, I have 42 divided by 6, and that is a basic fact. So I can easily do that in my head. And I can think of this as 42 tens divided by 6 tens. And since the 10 divided by 10 is 1, 42 divided by 6 is going to be 7. And so 7 will be my estimate. 427 divided by 58 is about 7. Let's try one more before we do the last Ed puzzle quiz. 293 divided by 42. So the first part is pretty straightforward. I'm going to round the dividend to the greatest place. And of course 42 is going to round to 40. Now rounding the divisor for this one is a little trickier. We do not want to round it to 300 because 300 divided by 40 is not something we can figure out easily in our head. 30 divided by 4 is not a basic fact. So I have to find a compatible number that is going to divide evenly by 40. And one way of doing this is to simply count up by 40s, and I'm going to kind of do that over here on the side. So 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280, 320. Now I just counted by 40s, and you'll notice if I take the zeros in the ones place off, then I'm skip counting by 4s, right? So these are all my basic facts of 4s. And when I get down here, I can see that 280 and 320 are both pretty close to 293. I think 280 is a little bit closer, right? It's only 13 less, and 320 is 27 more. So 280 is a little bit closer. So I'm going to go ahead and use 280 as my compatible number. And 280 divided by 40, I could think of this as 28 tens divided by 4 tens. And since I have tens divided by tens, I know my answer will be in ones. And 28 divided by 4 is 7. So my estimate, my good estimate for 293 divided by 42 is 7, because I used that compatible fact over here, which is not really apparent when you look right at 293, and it's very different than anything we've done so far, rounding 293 to 280. But we did it because it's easy then to do the division in our heads to find a quick estimate of what our answer is going to look like. All right, now it's your turn. You are going to divide 751 by 93. I want to remind you, you're going to round the dividend first. Is it closer to 90 or closer to 100? And once you've rounded the dividend, you're going to look over at the divisor, and you're going to count by 90s or use another method to find a compatible number that will evenly be divided by your rounded number for 93. Good luck, and I'll see you in class tomorrow.